Breaking news bombshell involving the story everyone is talking about. Senators are now looking into a new allegation. That would be number 4 against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. This one dates back to 1998. Someone sent an anonymous letter to a Colorado Republican senator accusing Kavanaugh of drunkenly assaulting an unnamed woman who also wants to remain anonymous. NBC News reports that senators asked Judge Kavanaugh about this new allegation today. He denied it. Within hours of this latest accusation, the Time's Up movement released an ad asking Kavanaugh to withdraw his nomination.
We the people demand a Supreme Court justice
without allegations of sexual assault.
This is all happening in less than 12 hours from a much anticipated hearing involving Kavanaugh and his initial accuser, Christine Blasey Ford. President Trump continues to pull no punches, drawing on his past experience with similar allegations.
And they know it's a big, fat con job. And they go into a room, and I guarantee you, they laugh like hell at what they pulled off on you and on the public. They laugh like hell.
So as we all get ready to watch the Kavanaugh hearing tomorrow, there are still a lot of questions about what the rules are. The other night I pointed out how the senators are really making things up as they go along, and that hasn't really changed when it comes to questions about who has to prove what and to what degree do they have to prove it. These are constitutional basics that we use in our courtrooms every day, but tomorrow at the Kavanaugh hearing, it looks like there will not be any uniform standards used to help figure out who's telling the truth. Instead, it seems like each senator will be able to devise their own individual standards to come to a conclusion about who they believe and why. But there will be some basic rules. Here's what we expect. The committee leaders from each party will deliver an opening statement. Then the first accuser to come forward, Dr. Ford, will have an opportunity to give her opening statement, which will be followed by questions from the senators. Each senator will have 5 minutes, which they can use themselves or have someone else question the accuser. Republican Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley tweeted that the Republicans will have staff counsel with an expertise in sex crimes do their questioning to depoliticize the process. Now, when the questioning of Dr. Ford is concluded, Judge Kavanaugh will give his opening statement, then be questioned under the same set of rules. After the hearing concludes on Thursday, a vote by the committee has been scheduled for Friday, if the committee is ready to proceed. In the meantime, expect the unexpected and watch it all unfold right here on 11 Alive and 11alive.com if you're watching at work. And don't worry, your boss will be watching too.